If you wait to take old age security past the age of 65, you will get more every month for the rest of your life. And sometimes that makes a lot of sense, but sometimes it doesn't. And statistically, it is pretty clear that most people do not think that the increased amount that they would get every month for delaying it is worth the trade-off of not having the cash in hand sooner. Now, for the record, I don't really have a hard opinion either way. It is totally dependent on your situation. But regardless, before we dive into all of this, there's a couple of base facts about OAS that I want to make sure that we all understand. First of all, the amount that you get has nothing to do with how long you've worked or how much you've contributed to a plan. OAS is a social program, and the amount that you will get is entirely based off of simply how long you've lived in Canada after the age of 18. If it's 40 years or more, you will get full pop. If you've lived here less than that, then you'll get less. And for the record, the maximum amount that you can get if you're 65 is $713 per month. Now, this is as of the beginning of 2024, but keep in mind that this amount is set to increase every quarter with inflation, so this is not a static number. Second, for every month you delay taking OAS, you will get 0.6% more for the rest of your life. So if you delay all the way up to age 70, which is as late as you can delay it, then your payout will be 36% more each month for the rest of your life. Anyway, I've done a bunch of videos on the specifics of OAS, so I'm not going to bore you with them all here. Let's move on and get into the top 7 reasons why people en masse are choosing to take OAS ASAP. And at the end, I'll even chuck in a little bonus, the one absolute, hands down, no-brainer reason why you should delay it. But anyway, reasons not to. Number 1, you need the money. This is probably the biggest reason, and fair enough. OAS can actually make up a pretty substantial chunk of your monthly income in retirement, and for some people, this simply can't wait. And the fact is, this is actually what the program was designed for. It was designed to create a base amount of income for Canadians in their later years. So if this is what you got to do, then get her done. Number 2, life expectancy. This one is big too, and pretty obvious. If you don't expect to live a longer than average life, which according to a quick Google search is just shy of 82, then delaying your benefit is probably a bad idea. In fact, if you delay all the way to age 70, the break-even age isn't till around age 84. Now note, these numbers are based on the benefit in 2020, and some people calculate it a bit differently, but the point is the same. And what this all means in plain English is that for it to be worth it for you to delay OAS to age 70, you have to live past the average life expectancy in Canada. After that point, you'd totally be ahead. But if you passed away any time before that point, then you'd have less. I'll post a link down in the description to an article from Retire Happy that goes over each age from 65 to 70 and the respective break-even ages so that you can check them out for yourself. Number 3. No survivor benefits. With the Canada Pension Plan, your spouse is entitled to a survivor benefit up to certain limits. But this is not the case with OAS. When you pass away, that's it. The benefit is done. So for many people, the risk that they could pass away at age 69 or something like that and never even receive a nickel because they chose to delay is not super appealing. Now, maybe if a chunk were to roll over to their spouse, that might be a different story. But that's not the case. So it is simply pure loss. And let me do some really quick, unsophisticated math here for you. Let's assume the full benefit is $713 a month at age 65. And let's not bother with the quarterly inflation increases, just so that we can keep the math simple. Now let's say that Abel chooses to delay his OAS until age 70. But unfortunately, Abel dies one day before hitting 70 and therefore gets a whopping 0 from OAS. And absolutely 0 rolls over to his wife, Mabel. That is 5 years of $713 per month, which equals $42,780 that neither Abel nor Mabel will ever see. And that is a decent chunk of change to put at risk. Now, even if Abel didn't need that money, it is highly likely that he would rather have collected it and passed it on to Mabel than just simply let it blow away with the wind. Number 4. Preserving your own investments. Basically, if you're retired and you're choosing to delay OAS until later, then you are going to have to come up with the money that you need each month from somewhere else. And usually that means you will need to pull it from your own investments. And obviously, if you didn't delay your OAS, then you'd have it coming in each month and therefore wouldn't have to pull as much each month from your own investments. Now, for many people, the idea of spending more of their own investments earlier isn't that attractive. Number 5, you don't trust the government. This is a huge reason too, and it's not entirely unwarranted. And agree or disagree, it doesn't really matter. Trust in our government is not exactly at an all-time high right now. It's not just a lack of trust in the government's capacity to meet its obligations, but it's also a lack of trust in the government's competence to do it, even if it actually wanted to. If our debt load ever gets to a point where it's gone too far, then the trimming of social programs may be something that simply has to happen, whether we like it or not. This has definitely happened in the past and in other places of the world. Now, I'm not saying that this is where we're headed. We're in troubled waters for sure. But I actually have a lot of hope for Canada and for our future. But what I am saying, because I hear it and I see it a lot, is that many Canadians, right or wrong, simply feel like they need to get what they can get while they think they can still get it. Number 6, GIS eligibility. GIS, or Guaranteed Income Supplement, is an extra benefit that comes with old age security if you have a very low taxable income. Basically, it's a benefit that's meant to beef up the base income for those who really need it. And it's income tested to try to make sure that it goes to the right people. Now, of course, it's not perfect, and so there are still ways for some people who have lots of assets to collect it at certain points, and some of that is totally legitimate, but for the most part, the program does what it's supposed to. But you cannot get it if you're not collecting OAS, since it's part of the OAS program. So taking your OAS as early as possible will allow you to collect GIS as early as possible as well, assuming your income on paper is low enough and you qualify. Now, this video is not meant to be a deep dive on GIS at all, but I will post a link to CRA's website on it if you want to look into it in more depth. Number 7, less bang for buck than delaying CPP. So just like how you get an increased benefit for delaying OAS, you also can get an increased benefit for delaying Canada Pension Plan. But with CPP, you get a juicier increase. You get 0.7% per month that you delay, rather than the 0.6 per month for OAS. So if you hold off till age 70, then you'd get 42% more with CPP versus 36% more with OAS. So there's simply more bang for buck in delaying CPP than there is in delaying OAS. And while some people may be comfortable delaying one of those benefits, very few people are comfortable delaying both of them. So now that we've knocked out the top reasons for taking OAS ASAP, I'm going to leave you with the one absolute, hands down, no-brainer reason why you should delay OAS. And it has to do with the dreaded clawback. If you are still working and making a decent chunk of money between the ages of 65 and 70, then you may lose some of your benefit, or all of it, to the OAS clawback. So in that case, you are far better off to just delay it and get an increased amount for the rest of your life. It works like this. Once your income crosses a certain threshold, which is always increasing with inflation, but is roughly $91K for 2024, you have to start paying back 15% of the benefit on every dollar you are over. And once you pass the upper threshold, which is north of 148K this year, then you will have lost it all. So there is literally no point in taking the OAS benefit in this case. Not only will you lose your benefit to the clawback, but you'll also lose the increased amount that you would have got if you would have delayed it. So this is an absolute no-brainer. But typically, you do not apply for OAS. It simply starts automatically when you turn 65. So be mindful of this and make sure that you apply to delay it if this is your situation, or you could end up losing a bunch of it accidentally. And that is about all I have to say about that.